Hello, my favorite subscribers, my friends. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're watching this video from right now. I'm Designedbytolarh, and today's video is on how to sew a cassock. So I'm going to be showing you the practical session on how to sew a cassock, which I'm going to show you on my machine how to sew a cassock. But before then, this is a cassock that I have just made, and I'll want to explain and show you some important features and some very important things about this cassock before we eventually move into the practical session, so that at the practical session you will understand and you know what I'm actually talking about. Now, the cassock is in two types. This cassock here now has no cape, all right, but we have another form of cassock that has cape, and they are the same. The only difference is even the way we cut them are the same. Their cutting is the same, their sewing is the same. The only difference is the fact that you can see here I attached the collar to the main bodies. So for the one that we're going to attach a cassock to, we're going to be attaching the collar to the cape first, then you attach it to the main bodies. So that's just the difference. And another difference is the fact that you have to cut your cape, and then the cape will be attached to the body. So this now that has no cape, for the cassock that has cape, so the cape will be attached to it. So that is just the main difference. Okay, so here now this is the cape, this is the collar. So now, the very important features I'm going to be showing you in this cassock is how to stitch or how to sew a cassock. Now, I'll be starting my explanation from the collar. Now you can see the way the collar is formed. You can see the way the collar is formed. I hope you're seeing this very clearly. Okay, maybe I should turn it this way. Yeah, so you can see the way the collar is. Now for this collar, the height of this collar is 1.5 inches. So please, I'll need you to pay close attention to what I'm going to be showing you here in this video, because there is no how you learn how to sew cassock if you don't learn some of these basic things first, so that by the time we are sewing, we can move along with the flow. Now for the collar is I tell you the collar is 1.5 inches. That is the height of this collar, and which to me it's very fine, because for the collar I use the range of 1 inch to 1.5 inches. So, and that it's okay, that is enough. So it's either you use the least you can use for the collar. The height of the collar is 1 inch. So you can use 1 inch, you can use 1.25, you can use 1.5. So anything above that the collar will be too long, right? So it's okay at 1.5, either from 1 inch to 1.5 inches. It's fine. Now that is that on the collar. Now I want you to pay close attention on the way I stitched the collar to the main bodies. For me, this is how I always stitch my collar. This is how I always attach my collar to the main bodies. After attaching it to the main bodies, then I use a bias tape to make sure that I fold in every little excess that I have along this neckline. And you will see that this also makes my work very neat and presentable. So this is how I attach my collar to the bodies. I use a bias tape to tape it down, and then I'll top stitch it on the main fabric. After I've used my bias tape to tape this down, I'm going to show you in the practical section how to go about this, but you have to take note of this first. Okay, so after I must have attached the collar to the main bodies and used my bias tape to secure that, then I'll make sure that I stitch it. I top stitch this bias tape. I top stitch it on my main bodies just to look, and I top stitch it neatly. As you can see, it's very, very neat. So that is that on that. Now the next thing I'm going to show you is, so you can see that I attached, so attaching, you can see that the back panel is overlapping on the front panel, and that is how it ought to be. So for this overlap here now, I have 1.25 for this overlap. So okay, I used 1.5, sorry. I used 1.5 for this overlap. So you can see here is 1.5, here also is 1.5. So this, I used 1.5 for the overlap. And I said it earlier that in my previous videos that this overlap depends on the individual. Okay, so this cassock here is for an average individual, for an average sized individual. All right, if I was to make a cassock for a very chubby individual, like that is a person that has a pot belly, then for this overlap I won't use 1.5. Okay, I will increase this overlap. Reason being that this overlap allows the cassock to stay fixed on the neckline, so that the cassock doesn't move back and forth on the neckline. All right, so you see that some cassocks sometimes when you put it on, they start to move to the back themselves, and then you will need to at every interval use your hands to adjust and bring it back to the front. So to avoid that, to ensure that your cassock sits perfectly on you or your client, so that is why you need to overlap the back on the front. And the overlapping also, you know, has to do with the measurement of the individual. So now, and you can see that I attached the back panel on the front panel. You can see I attached both the front and the back panel together at the shoulders. And after attaching them together, you can see that I top stitched neatly. So this is how I make my cassock. After attaching the back panel to the front panel, I top stitch. I fold in can see, look at how neat it is. I fold in the stitches and then I toss. That is why I always make use of 1/2 inch to attach the back panel to the front panel so that I can have a handful, at least enough to fold in, so that I can have this neat top stitching here. And the same goes for the other side of the shoulder, of the other side here. Same applies to here and here, okay? And very important thing is, you see, for this collar, I always make sure to attach an interface, which is my collar stay, to this collar, okay? It's very important because when you attach a collar stay to your collar, there is this kind of fittings it gives to your collar. There's this kind of beauty, there's this kind of fittings it gives to your collar, and it makes it, you can see that this collar is standing on its own. So now imagine the individual putting this on. So that is the same way this collar is going to stand erect on the individual, on the neck of the individual. That is why it's important, that it's advisable for you to attach an interface, preferably a collar stay, to the collar of your cassock, all right, to give it that standard effect. So now, after joining the back and the front panel at the shoulder line, just like you see what I did here, and top stitching. Now another so you can see how I cut out the armhole. You can see that there is this slant curve on the armhole, and then you can see that that is why on my channel here I have a video where I explain on how to take measurement for a cassock. That is, let's assume you want to make cassock for an individual. How do you go about the measurement? How do you go about measuring that individual? I have a video on my channel where I explain on how to take measurements of your individual when you want to make a cassock. All right. So, and there in that video, I made mention of the fact that you need to measure the armhole of that individual. It's very, very important. You need to measure the armhole, and while measuring the armhole, make sure that the armhole is free enough, so that after cutting and sewing your cassock, that individual or client will be able to move the hands up and down freely. But when the armhole is tight, okay, the client or that individual won't find it easy to move the hands, freely, because it will be too tight. So that's why it's very important to measure the round armhole circumference of your client while taking your measurement. So now here you can see how I cut this armhole, how slanted this armhole is, and also you can see this is the sleeve. Also here on my channel I have a video where I made a tutorial on how to cut and sew the sleeve of a cassock. So here you can see there is an overlap of material on the sleeve, which is very, very important. So now for this fabric, this is a damask material, and it's a hard textured material. So that is why for this sleeve here, I did not add an interface to this overlapped sleeve. But let's assume that this texture is very soft texture, then I'll have to add an interface, which is a soft stay, to the overlay of the sleeve. So you can see that I overlaid another fabric, which is still the main fabric. I overlaid it on the sleeve, all right, to give that sleeve area volume, because a cassock must be different from other kinds of garments. So to give it that volume that it requires, you need to overlay another fabric, the same fabric that you're making use of. All right, so just cut it the size of the sleeve like this and overlay it. Another very important thing that I want you to make note of here is the fact that, please, when making your overlay, make sure that you do not exceed the elbow of that individual. For an overlaid sleeve just like this, it mustn't get to the elbow of the individual. All right, once it gets to the elbow, it has become too long, and then it's going to be out of proportion, out of shape. Even you yourself are not going to like it. So the main thing is to, and you can measure it on your individual. You can ask the client where he or she wants the overlays to get to. All right, or you can use your own fashion designing instinct to cut out the amount of overlay you want. But the only thing is, do remember that do not make this overlay too long that it gets to the elbow. So that is that on that. And you can see how I cut the sleeves. You can see that the sleeves are straight, and that is one thing peculiar to cassocks. When you're making a cassock, you have to ensure that when you're cutting, your cuttings are straight, and when you're stitching, your stitchings are straight. That's why I used to tell people that I used to tell people that come to me, and when they say they have issues with their cassocks and all of that, I said, number one, the first thing you need to do is to get yourself to know how to cassock deals with straight stitches. So you need to know how to sew or how to stitch in a straight line. Then that way cassock will be much better for you to make. And you can see even this overlaid sleeve, you can see how the stitches are straight and neat. That is the beauty of a cassock. All right, the stitches must be straight, the stitches must be neat. If you are stitching in half of an inch, it must be an equal half of an inch right from the top down to the bottom. If you are stitching in 1 inch, it must be 1 inch right from the top to the bottom. So like for this now, I stitched in 1/4 of an inch, and you can see that the 1/4 of an inch is equal all round like that. So these are very, very important precautions you need to put in place whilst sewing a cassock. Now, another very fundamental thing I'm going to discuss with you is the fact that on this front body here, on the front here, now this particular type confuses a lot of people. And why is the fact that now you can see here I have this left hand side, you can see it has double layers, and on this right hand side you can see it has just a single layer. Now I'm going to explain why is this second side having a double layer. That is how cassocks have. That is why cassocks are different from other kind of male garments. For a cassock, it has to have these double layers. Now, this double layer, you must also ensure that the upper part of this layer, exceeds the inner part of this layer. This inner part must not exceed the upper part, so that even while the client or the individual is putting it on, it's hard for you to notice that there is an inner part. Okay, so this outer part has overshadowed and covered up this inner part. All right, so this outer part is where maybe you want to put any decorations to your cassock. Maybe you want to put fancy buttons, or you want to use trimmings, or you want to stone it. So you can do that on this upper part. Whereas for their cassocks, they don't do any other thing on it. You just leave it bare like this. Now this other side, this inner part is where carries the buttonholes. As you can see, I have buttonholes all through here, down to the hem, down. All right, so this inner layer carries the buttonholes, and then on the right hand side here carries the buttons. Now, one very important thing I'm going to share with you here is the fact that while making cassocks for a male and a female, there is a difference. All right, there is a difference, and I'm going to share with you and tell you what the difference is. Now, the difference is the fact that, as you can see here, this is a male cassock, and the buttons are located on the right hand side of the individual. Now, if you're making for a female cassock, the buttons must be located on the left hand side of the individual, and then this double layered folding will be on the right hand side. Let me come again. In making a cassock for a male and a female, there's always a difference. There's a difference when making a cassock for a male. There's a difference when making cassock for a female. Now, what is the difference? The difference is the fact that when making cassock for a male, the buttons are always on the right hand side. But while making cassock for a female, these buttons here will always be on the left hand side. All right, so it's going to be on the left hand side like that. But when you're making for a male garment, the buttons will be on the right hand side, just like this. Now, after you must have done that, you know, after you must have stitched down this side. Now, sorry. So now we are now on the pockets of the cassock. A lot of people ask me a lot of questions. Like, how can I fix a pocket to a cassock? How do you fix it? What are the extra allowance you put? And a lot of other questions I get. Now I'm going to be explaining how to fix or how to sew a pocket to a cassock. Now you can see this is my cassock. This is my pocket here. You can see I'm putting my hands in. This is my pocket here. And you can see that on the side where the pocket is, I have some pleats. This is the pleat, and then this is the opening of the pocket, and this is another pleat. Now, how do I get this pleat? When cutting of your cassock, you remember that when you get to this waistline, you always had an extra inch for a pocket allowance. Yes, so that pocket allowance that you added initially while cutting, that is what gave birth to these pleats that you have here. So it's while stitching that you fold this in to give you this pleats, and the same thing applies to the other side as well. Now, I hope you can see this clearly. Yeah. So you see that now your cassock should be like this. You can see this is the pleat, this is the joining, and then this is the pleat. So if you want to know if you have actually done the right thing, then after stitching your cassock, you must achieve these pleats. The sides of your cassock must give out this shape for both sides. It must give out this shape. That is if you are making a cassock. After stitching, after ironing, the cassock, the sides must give this shape. And the same thing happens to the same thing applies to the other side as well. So you can see even the other side also has pleats. And another thing is, you see the pleats for the sides must be smooth and equal, just as you see here in the video. The pleats on the sides, both here and the other side, must be equal, and the pleats must must form very well. That is when you know that yes, you've done a job well done. So now here is the back. For the back, you can see this is the collar, and you can see how it's sitting pretty on the main body. Okay, and here is the armhole curve. You can see what I explained to you earlier. You can see that the armhole curve is not too curved in and is not too curved out. All right, so it's okay like this. Now the sleeve also, you can see here is the sleeve, here is the wrist, and then here is the sleeve. Now another very important thing I'm going to show you and share with you before we launch right into the practical section is this back allowance that you have here. Now, for this back allowance that you have here, it depends on what you want and your preference. For this particular cassock, I made use of 4 inches as the inner back allowance. So this back allowance you're seeing here, I used 4 inches. I used 4 inches as this inner allowance. Okay, so you can use 4, you can use 3, depending on what you want and how you like it. Because and depending on how the individual that owns the cassock. Alright, so now measuring from the nape of the neck, as you can see, when you want to measure from the nape of the neck, make sure you are measuring from this side. Now, from the nape of the neck down to the deep of the back, here is the back deep. When you stand, you see that there is a side that is like deep in on your back. So that's your back deep. So where this triangle is going to start from, is going to be starting from your back deep. That is the base of this triangle. It's going to be starting from your back deep. It's going to be stopping on your back deep. It's going to be starting from the back nape here. Now, whatever you measure on your client, that is from the middle, from the neck midpoint down to the triangular base, whatever you measure on your client must be the same that you're going to, cut out or stitch on the main fabric. And another very important thing I want you to take note of is the fact that while stitching a cassock, this triangular base must be on the same line as this pocket. Alright, so that is how your cassock can give you a nice fitting. Sometimes I see some cassocks, the triangle will be somewhere up here and then the pocket will be down. Sometimes the pocket will be up, the triangle will be down. It has to be, they all have to be on the same level, like on the same line. As you can see, this is a pocket 1, this is a triangular base, this is a pocket 2. And if you watch closely, you see that they are both on the same line. Okay, even if they don't get to be on the same line, at least they should be on the same line. That is, the difference should be so minute so that at least, at most, they will always be on the same line. So when you make your cassock like this, there is a fitting it gives to you yourself. There is a fitting, it makes it stand out, it makes it unique when you follow this process that way. And now I won't lie to you, to make a cassock is tasking and also it's simple. It depends on how you take it. Okay, it's tasking and also it's simple. Tasking in the sense that you need to know how to stitch in a straight line, because a lot of what you're going to be working on here on the cassock are straight lines. As you yourself, you can see that they are mostly straight lines and their measurements also must be equal. If you're using 3 inches for this back allowance, it must be 3 inches all through down. You must not use 3 inches here for the back allowance and then you come down here and reduce it to 2 inches. It's going to give your cassock a kind of awkward shape. Okay, so whatever you have here as the back inner allowance, that is what you have all through down to the end of this garment. So for me, what I always do is the amount of allowance I have in, that is the same measurement I use for my triangle. Now you can see this triangle is a quadratic triangle, which means that all sides are equal. Now for my inner, I use 4 inches, as you can see. So the same thing when I'm sewing my triangle, I make sure that from this point to this point is 4 inches, as you can see. From this point to this point also 4 inches, and then from this point to this point 4 inches. So whatever you are using as your inner allowance should be the same measurement you use for your triangle. So let's assume that I use 3 inches for this inner allowance. I'm going to be using 3 inches for my triangle, which means that from this point to this point is going to be 3 inches, from here to here 3 inches, and from here down to here 3 inches. Okay, so whatever you use as the allowance for the back must be the same allowance that you know. So it must be the allowance must be the same as triangle. So, and you can see that the allowance also has extended down to down here and then all through to the end of the cassock. Okay, so now you can see that the pocket, you can see that there is a way this pocket is different and is looking very different. I'm going to share with you on how to achieve that in the particular session, but I'm still going to explain to you on it right now. Now that is that on that. So as you can see, now another very important thing I'm going to share with you is the fact that, see, when making cassocks for men that are chubby, that they say use that language, like chubby, that are, chubby, when making cassocks for them, or for men that has pot belly, sorry to say, while making cassock for them, make sure that the chest is wider than the waistline. What am I trying to say? Maybe because of the pot belly this particular client has, now his pot belly is 45, and then the waist is 45, and then the chest, or let's say maybe the waist is 50 because of the belly, and the chest is 45. So I'll advise you cut it based on that measurement. But when you use that measurement, the chest is going to be smaller compared to the waist, and it's going to give you any form of, befitting. It's not going to be befitting. So that is why when you're making cassock, always make sure that the chest line here is a little bit wider than this half length here. Okay, for example, let's say that the half length here, or the waistline here, 3 inches, and then the chest here is 45. Instead of me to make cut 45 for the chest line and then cut 50 for the chest line, no. So instead of me to do that, I won't do that. So what I'm going to do is either I use the same measurement for both the waist and the chest line, which means that since the waist by individual is 50, then I'll use 50 also for the chest line instead of using 47. Either I do it that way, or if the difference is very minute, let's say maybe 50 to 49 or so, then I can make my chest like 51 and then make the waist 50. But in the absence of that, you can just make both the waist and the chest the same measurement. In that way, it's preferable than, very preferable that way. All right, so just use 50 inches for this side and then 47, and then maybe like 52 inches for the chest line. So just to give it, you can see that there's a way I slanted from the chest line down to the waist a little. You can see that this little shape that you're seeing here, honestly, it gives your cassock a nice and presentable shape. If you can achieve this like that, you see that even when your client or that individual puts on the cassock, there's this beauty that it radiates. There is this fittings it gives to your cloth when the chest is wider compared to the waist. All right, you can try it and then let me know hear your feedback. Let me know how it goes. Now, after I'm done with that, you can see here is the extended part of the inches that I folded in. So you will ask, why do we always do this? Why do we always put this back allowance there at the back? Now the answer is very simple. Why we do this is to create more effects inside of the cassock, so that the person putting on the cassock can have the privilege of raising his legs, or can have the privilege of walking freely in the cassock. If you don't have this, if you don't put this, the cassock will be tight, right? And the person putting on or wearing the cassock won't feel free in the cassock. That is why we always have this extra allowance. This is just to add extra freeness to the, is to add extra freeness to your main garment. So as you can see, we are going to be making this down all through to the end of this cassock. Let me see if you can actually see the end of the cassock. Okay, nice. So here is the hem of the cassock. Now, I would say that when making the hem of this cassock, make sure that at least the end is like 2.5 inches. 2.5 to 3 inches. That's what I use. Sometimes I use 2.5, sometimes I use 3, depending on the amount of fabric I have. Now, if it were to be a soft material, maybe I would have used 3 inches. Because this material itself, is of hard texture. That is why I'm using 2.5 inches, so that I'll fold in ½ inch inside, and then I'll be left with 2.5 inches. As you can see there is a fold at this end. I'm going to be folding in 2.5 inches, and it's going to be left with the remaining ½ of an inch. That is why when you're cutting, it's very important to add your stitching allowance. Now, so people always ask me that, okay, what if they make the hem of your cassock a tiny one? You can make a tiny one depending on your choice, but for me, I'll advise that do not make the hem of the cassock to be a tiny one. All right, to be a tiny one, then the best you can do is to, come up by 2.5 inches or 3 inches, and then that is fine, because it gives your client, there's a way, it gives your client this beautiful kind of perfection. All right, that is what it gives your client. So, and why we always do this is to make sure that there is volume at the hem of the cassock. And why, when there is volume at the hem of the cassock, it helps the cassock to sit down properly on the individual. All right, so that is why here at the hem of the garment there must be a form of volume. All right, which we have just done like this, and the volume is to, you know, give your cassock a well befitting. There is like an adjective that qualifies the main bodies, because the main bodies is sitting on this hem. So that is why this hem here has to be full. So that is why I made it 2.5 to 3 inches. Very important. Now I'm going to be turning this cassock inside out for you to see how the inside looks like, and for me to show you also, and you can see for yourself clearly how to stitch a cassock. Now I'm going to turn this inside out. So guys, you can see this is the inside. This is how the inside is looking like. You can see how very neat the inside is. You can see the inside of the garment. You can see how neat it is. Now I'm going to be starting from the sleeve. So now you can see that for the overlapping, some call it overlapping, some call it overlaying of the fabric, you can see that the joining of the main sleeve to the overlap sleeve is inside. So the joining is not showing outside at all, as you can see. So the joining has to be inside, just like this. All right, and now you can see how smooth the sleeve is. Now another very important thing is, you see, when making a cassock, you need to take it to your pressing board to press it down intermittently. That is how you can as well achieve some of this, you know, that's how you can achieve great results on cassock. Now you can see that, and you can see my sleeve, how straight. So please, I'm going to refer you to the video I have on my channel, where I shared on I should cut and sew a cassock sleeve. So when you go to that video, that is going to give you an in-depth insight on how to cut your sleeve. So down you can see that you can see how straight this sleeve is. And then for the sewing allowance of the sleeve, I added 1 inch sewing allowance, all three. If you measure this, it's going to give you 1 inch sewing allowance, as you can see. So from the wrist here, the wrist of the sleeve, down to this, the bicep, and down to the armhole, is 1 inch stitching allowance, all three. So you can see how straight this is. So to achieve this, you can actually use the numbers on the plate of a sewing machine. I have a video also on my channel where I shared how to make use of the numbers on the plate of the machine for you to achieve this kind of result. All right, so sometimes I use the numbers on the plate of my machine to achieve, in fact, it's faster. So I use the numbers on the plate of that machine to achieve this straight effect. And as I said earlier, that you need to first train yourself on how to sew straight stitches. Like you can see how straight this sleeve is. If it wasn't this straight, then definitely it will not give us this result that we have. All right, so if you want to achieve a straight sleeve, you want your sleeve to be straight, you want it to be neat like this, then you need to learn or train yourself on how to sew straight stitches. Now that is that on that. And then now you can see that I attached the sleeve to the main bodies at the armhole region, at the armhole. All right, and that is why while cut in my previous video here on this live video, I shared on how to cut a cassock again. I already have it on my channel, but people requested that I should show and I should share on how to cut a cassock again, which I did. So you make note that you see that even whenever I'm measuring my shoulder, I always had half of an inch extra to the shoulder. Like after dividing my shoulder by 2, whatever I have, I'll make sure I had half of an inch sewing allowance. So because that half of an inch is needed, that half of an inch is needed to attach the sleeve to the main bodies, just like this. So here you can see, and the same thing applies for the sleeve. I always make sure to attach half of an inch stitching allowance to the sleeve as well, so that I can use that half of, I always add 1 inch in general to the sleeve, because I'll be using half of an inch to attach to the overlay material, then the remaining half of an inch to attach the sleeve to the main bodies. And the same thing applies to the main bodies. I'm going to be using half of an inch to attach the sleeve to the main body. So here is the half of an inch, as you can see. Now we're moving ahead to the joining here at the shoulder. All right, so as I said earlier, that you can see that the back panel is overlapping or overlaying on the front panel. Very, very important and correct. All right, so, and then while overlapping, it must be equal. So you can see, if you measure mine here, you have 1.5. If you measure it at this side again, you see you have 1.5. If you measure it here, you have 1.5. So it must be it must be straight, not 1.5 here, 1 inch here. No, it must be all 1.5 all through. And then after stitching both the shoulders together, I always make sure to top stitch like this. It gives my work, this very nice finishing. And then coming down to the collar, you can see how I attached the collar to the main bodies. You need to get all these things very clearly before we now move down into the, while I'm sewing, I'm making the practical, you really understand what I'm doing. Now you can see that I already attached the collar to the main bodies and then I use the bar tape to tape this, and then after then I top stitch on my main bodies. As you can see, it's very simple, but it needs your time. So here you can see how neat this is. You can see how neat I attached the collar to the main bodies. Now, coming down to this front here that I have, so here you can see that, let me see if you can see this clearly. So here you see that there is the single fold, and here the double fold. So, and you can see the way I attached my collar, and then also the way I attached the neckline. Now the distance between this neckline here to the collar is 1.25, and same thing with here, 1.25. That is the distance. Then attaching the back panel to the front panel, I did same what I did here. I did the same on this other side, and also what I did to the sleeve, the exact thing I did to the sleeve here, I did the same to the sleeve on this other side. As you can see, so here also is 1 inch, and here also is 1 inch. Here also is one, all through like that is 1 inch. Now I'm moving on. You can see that besides the chest line and the waist region, you can see that the chest line is wider a little bit than the waist. Yes, that is how your cassock can give. And all this, I realized all this, while at it. Okay, so I got a lot of all these secrets through my years of experience on cutting and sewing of a cassock. So that is how I got all these ideas and all these secrets. Now the next thing you can see that I attach, so here is 1 inch. Remember that in cutting we added 1 inch sewing allowance. So here is a 1 inch sewing allowance. Now moving down to the pocket. For the pocket, you can see the way the pocket is. Now I'm going to be giving you the measurement for the pocket. So meanwhile, on my channel also, I have a video where I explained in depth how to cut and stitch a perfect pocket for a collar. So here is the pocket. Now this pocket depends on the individual's measurement. For an average individual, alright, like at 58, at 59, at 60, at 61, at 62. For the pocket, the length of the pocket should be 17 inches. The length here should be 17 inches, and then the wideness should be 7 inches. Okay, the length here 17, and then the wideness here 7 inches. Now, for an individual who is at 62 and above, 50, 62, 63, 64, 65, the length of the pocket should be 19 inches, while this is 17. For the higher height, the length will be 19 inches, and then the wideness will still remain 7 inches. Now you can see how I attach the pocket to the main bodies. So what I did and how to attach this pocket is, the first thing I did was to, after I must have stitched my pocket to an extent, then I'm going to attach the pocket to, so you can remember that when cutting this cassock, we added some inches extra, which we said the pocket allowance. We added some inches extra at the side here, which we call the pocket allowance. Alright, so now for the pocket allowance, what I'm going to do when I want to attach my pocket to the main bodies is, the first thing I'm going to do is to attach my pocket to the pocket allowance of the bodies. Alright, so you can see that that's the first thing I did. I attached the pocket to the bodies. Here it is. Then I will fold the pocket. After I've attached it to the bodies, then I'll fold the pocket into two. Then I'll give a little notch at the midpoint here. Either I give it a little notch, or I just give it a little mark here at the midpoint. And then, so that while I'm stitching this together, after I must have joined the pockets, the side of the pocket to the, alright, after I've joined the side of the pocket to the main body, then I'll make sure that the stitches I have here, or the point and the mark I have here, faces directly on the middle here. All right, faces right here at the middle. So both are going to face each other like this, and that is how we're going to achieve this pocket. So you can see, you can see that I joined the pocket to the pocket allowance here, okay, and then this is the midpoint here, this is the middle here, and then the midpoint of the pocket is also facing the midpoint of the joinings here, and the same thing applies to the other side of the pocket. And here you can see this split here that you are seeing. This picture you are seeing is from the pocket allowance, the sleeve you added initially while cutting for the pocket allowance. That is why it's giving you all the splits that you can see here. So now, let me see if you can see this clearly. Okay, so now for the hem, you can see how the hem also is looking. You can see the way the hem of the garment also is looking. So here, as I said earlier, 2.5 inches, which means that I folded in half, I folded in half here, and then I'm left with 2.5 inches. So sometimes it depends on the fabric. If there is enough fabric, sometimes I make this hem 3 inches, so that in actual representation, it will be 4 inches, which means 3 inches for the hem, half inch to attach the hem, alright, that is the one I folded in, and then half inch to attach the front panel to the back panel. So that's why I use mostly 2.5 inches to 3 inches, depending on what the client wants or the client's desire. Alright, now very importantly, also you can see that there is an opening here, which is very important. Either you're making for a male cassock or a female cassock, there must be a little opening here at the front. So for the opening, the measurement I use is actually always between 9 inch to 12 inches. So if there is an average individual, I use 9 inch, 10 inch, but if the individual is on a very high, maybe 62, 63, 64, 65 in length, then I use 12 inches for the opening here, 12 or 11 inches for the opening here. And why are we giving it open? Why don't you just close it up? When we close it up like this, you realize that it will be a little bit difficult for your client to walk freely in the cassock, alright, because it will be too tight. But with the aid of this opening here, the cassock doesn't get too tight, and then the client is able to move freely and walk freely inside of the cassock. That is why we always leave this side open, just like this, just little inches. Alright, so just leave it open like that. You don't need to close it up, just leave it open like that to give your cotton a nice, to give your fabric a nice shape. Alright, so that is why you need to make it this way. Now I'm going to be turning the back. Now here is the back, as you can see. So you can see what I showed you, how you can see how the neck is standing. So now you can see the inner allowance I was talking about. So if let me measure it so you can see here is 4 inches. So the same thing now, what we explained earlier about the sleeve. So this is the sleeve, and then you can see that the collar is not, stays perfectly and neatly on the body. So here, the triangle at the back here, as you can see, and as I said earlier, you can see that the base of this triangle and where the pocket stitches are, here and here, they are on the same line. All right, that is very 100%. Right, you must strive to achieve this. And how can you achieve it? Is measuring the nape of the neck down to the dip of the back, and then you measure from the shoulder down to the half length. So definitely they are going to correspond or correlate together, because this base of the triangle will sit on the hip, on the back dip, and then this pocket also will be sitting around the area of the back dip. Okay, so that is why that is always, that way. And then it goes straight down. As I said earlier, this triangle must be an equilateral triangle, which means that all the sides are equal. All right, so an equilateral triangle, all three sides are equal. Now, I'm moving on. Let me. Okay. So you can see that the same 4 inches, we're taking it down here to the hem of the sleeve. So this was what I was explaining initially about the hem of the sleeve. That the hem must have volume. It must give volume, just like this, so that to make the hem, to make it stand properly and beautiful, and for it to be very beautiful. So here, this is how to sew a typical cassock. All right, all what I've explained to you are the features that you're going to encounter while sewing a typical cassock. So even with my explanation now, you should be able to stitch an elastic cassock yourself, at least to an extent. All right, so that is the purpose of this video, for me to show you and share with you on, the features on how to sew a cassock. All right, in my next live, I'm going to be making the practical session of it. But I hope that this has been helpful to you, and I hope that, even from my explanation here, you should be able to stitch your cassock yourself with all the explanation that I gave on how to measure whatever, and the measurements you need to have and all that. So I guess that even without me, doing the practical, you should be able to stitch a cassock all by yourself. All right, because here on my channel I have a video on where I show how to cut a cassock. So the same thing applies. If you watch that video, this is on how. The only difference you're going to have is that there is no cape attached to this. All right, and I don't know the difference between the cassock that has a cape and the cassock that does not have a cape. Maybe you can just ask from your terminology. Maybe you can just ask from those in seminary school or theological school. I think they should have the answer to why some cassocks come with cape, while some does not always come with cape, that they make it straight this way. As I said earlier, that even if you're making the one with the cape, it's not difficult at all. The only thing for you to do is to, follow the way I've explained, and then the only difference is that you're going to be cutting a cape, which must be the same length as the collar, which the neckline of the cape must be the same as the neckline of the main bodies. Okay, so then you just attach the collar to the cape, and then attach it to the main bodies of the cassock. All right, so what is that on that? Please let me know what you feel about this video in the comment section. If you also have any, if you also have anything from me, maybe you have a requested video, maybe you want to request for me to make a video for you, or maybe you don't even understand anything, you can just reach out to me in the comments, and I'll be there to gladly assist and to help you navigate through whatever challenges you might be facing. So right, you can see that this is the back, and you can see how this back is laying perfectly. You can see how smooth it is. And this is the inside of my garment. So you can see how neat the inside looks. So this on is a well done job. It's automatically a well done job. You can see how the inside is neat. So that's why I said when you want to make a cassock, you need to first off train yourself on how to sew straight stitches. So you can see that I attached the sleeve to the main bodies, by half of an inch, and I made sure that I used half of an inch all through. I made sure that there was no shifting whatsoever. So I used half of an inch all through, and you can see even at the taping, the stitching at the top stitching of the shoulder, you can see how straight it is. All right, so I didn't achieve all of this in just a day. All right, it took several practices, and it took the experience even I had from cutting and sewing of cassock. So that is how I developed myself, and how I got to know some of these things that I've said earlier in this video. So I think that my next video now, I think even with this, you already know, you've already been prepared, and then you know what to expect in the next video. But in the next video, I'm going to be sharing on how to sew a cassock, and I'm going to be sewing a cassock from scratch, from start to finish. All right, so and you have to put all this in mind. All what I've explained earlier, you need to put all of them in mind. All right, so thank you so much for watching this video to the end. I really do appreciate you a lot. I'm so happy that you watched this video to the end. Thank you for joining in on the membership. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. God bless you. For everyone that has joined in on the membership, thank you so much. And I'll also beg of you and plead of you to please continue to share this channel to your friends, to your loved ones. All right, send it to people that you know that will be of help and of use to people that are already searching. And let me tell you something. I also wanted to make a cassock. Alright, that is why I'm sharing my knowledge here on public. I wanted to make a cassock. I came to YouTube, search on how to make a cassock, and I found none. I could not find any video on YouTube that can explain to me how to cut and sew a cassock. So I had to go to learn it. So I paid for it. I paid to learn on how to cut and sew a cassock. So I thought to myself, definitely there will be other people like that in my shoes that are probably searching the net on how to cut and sew cassock, which at the end of the day there is no video there to lead them or to show them what it means or how to go about it. That was why I said, fine, as the kind of person that I like to give back to the society, I like to teach people. Okay, let me share my knowledge on this cassock. Though I learned this cassock with a huge amount of money, but all at the same time, I'm doing this for humanity, and doing this to help one or two people out there. So that was why I made videos on how to cut cassock, how to sew cassock on my channel. All right, so thank you so much for all of you that has joined in on the membership. I really do appreciate you a lot. God bless you so much. Don't forget to always keep supporting your girl, keep supporting your friends, Designed by Tolarh, and don't forget to share this video to your friends. Keep on sharing this video till it gets to a wider audience, and a lot of people get to take advantage and take advantage from this. Thank you so much for watching this live video to the end. All right guys, till I see you in my next one. Please have a great day, stay safe, and then bye.